Detailed summary of the book of Jeremiah. The book of Jeremiah is one of the major prophetic books in the Old Testament. It records the messages and events related to the prophet Jeremiah, who ministered during the final years of the kingdom of Judah, from about 627 to 586 BC. His prophecies focus on God's judgment, the fall of Jerusalem, and the hope of future restoration. Background and context. Author Jeremiah, son of Hilkiah, a priest from Anathoth. Time frame covers approximately 40 years from King Josiah to the Babylonian exile. Historical setting: the kingdom of Judah was in spiritual decline due to idolatry, corruption, and political instability. The Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar II was rising to power. Sikud, structure and key themes. The book is a mix of prophecies, historical narratives, and personal laments. 1. Call of Jeremiah, chapters 1. Jeremiah is called by God before birth, 1:4-5. He protests that he is too young, but God reassures him. His mission: to uproot and tear down, judgment, but also to build and plant, restoration. Oracles of judgment against Judah, chapters 2-25. Condemnation of idolatry. Judah has forsaken God, compared to an unfaithful wife, chapter 2. Call to repentance. Warnings of coming disaster if Judah does not turn back, chapters 3-6. Temple Sermon, chapter 7. Jeremiah rebukes people who think the temple will save them despite their sins. Symbolic actions. Smashing a clay jar, chapter 19, and wearing a yoke, chapter 27, symbolize judgment. Judgment is certain. Babylon will invade as God's instrument of punishment, chapter 25. Conflicts and persecution of Jeremiah, chapters 26-29. Jeremiah is arrested and nearly executed for prophesying the fall of Jerusalem, chapter 26. He clashes with false prophets like Hananiah, chapter 28. Sends a letter to the exiles in Babylon, encouraging them to seek peace and trust in God's plan, chapter 29. 4. Book of Consolation, Future Hope and Restoration, chapters 30-33. Promise of a New Covenant. Unlike the Old Covenant Mosaic Law, the New Covenant will be written on people's hearts. Restoration of in Judah, God promises to bring his people back from exile. 5. Final Judgment on Judah, chapters 34-45, Fall of Jerusalem to 39. In 586 BC, Babylon destroys the city and the temple. Aftermath and Jeremiah's fate. Jeremiah is allowed to stay in Judah, but later is taken to Egypt by fleeing Jews, chapter 43. 6. Oracles against foreign nations, chapters 46-51. Prophecies against Egypt, Philistia, Moab, Ammon, Edom, Damascus, Kedar, Elam, and Babylon. Babylon itself will eventually be judged, chapter 50-51. 7. Historical appendix, Fall of Jerusalem, chapter 52. Describes the fall of Jerusalem and the fate of King Zedekiah. Ends with a note of hope. King Jehoiakim is released from prison in Babylon. 3. Key themes. 1. God's sovereignty. God controls history, including the rise and fall of nations. 2. Judgment for sin. Judah's rebellion brings divine punishment. 3. Call to repentance. God always offers a chance for repentance before judgment. 4. Suffering of the prophet. Jeremiah's life reflects the cost of speaking God's truth. 5. New covenant. The hope of a deeper relationship with God, fulfilled in Jesus Christ. Importance and legacy. Jesus and the New Testament. Jesus refers to Jeremiah's prophecies, e.g. Matthew 21:13, referring to the temple. Jeremiah as a Christ-like figure. Like Jesus, he was rejected, suffered, and spoke of a new covenant. Relevance today. The book reminds believers about faithfulness to God, the dangers of false religion, and the hope of restoration. This summary captures the historical, theological, and prophetic aspects of Jeremiah.